G'day viewers, how the devil are ya? Well, I'm trying something different today. I'm going to do a review, so click the like button right now, subscribe if you haven't already, and then if you don't like it, well then you can leave me a comment and that'll help me as well. Let's get on with the show. Today viewers, I thought I'd do something different with what you call an unboxing video, I believe. Well, as you can probably see, this one's already been out of the box quite a while, but this morning I got up early. The bed was still dry for once, so I thought, well, let's make the most of it and do something different. So I'm going to do maybe a review video is better. As you can see, this is my little Ryobi chainsaw. It's a battery powered one, and I've been using it for quite some time, as is probably pretty evident by the look of it. Now, I've never really been sure what the point of an unboxing video is. As you can clearly see, this one did come in a box, which I still have, and that's all good and nice, but you know, I don't buy things for the box, I buy them for what's inside, and I think, you know, the quality of the product is what counts. Now, customary with these videos, there's always a long-winded part number spelled out, and this one looks like it's OCS 1830BL. So there you go. That'll probably mean nothing to anybody not in Australia, but for the 3 Aussies that watch me, there you go. This is what this one's about. Now, this one did come as just a skin. A skin means it's, in this case, the saw only. That's always a bit of a bummer, because you usually get a much better deal when you get a kit. I've got a few other Ryobi products, and I always try and buy them in a kit because it makes the battery a lot cheaper, even if you end up with 17 charges. But anyway, that's the way I got it, and so far I've been very happy with the thing. The box comes in a pretty green color, and it's got a nice picture on it, and it's got some, you know, specifications that I notice even when you compare. Bloody planes. James has got trains and I got planes. Even the specifications from one unit to another of the same makes often don't compare, which really is stupid, but I get the feeling is also fairly deliberate. As you can see, it's got a 6-year replacement warranty, which is 4 years if you dock it, and 2 years if you go through the bullshit of registering everything online and jumping some hoops and, you know, doing a moonwalk backwards or something, as has been my experience with registering these and other things. As you can tell, this is not a paid and bought for review. It's an honest one, but if Ryobi or anybody else are game enough to send me other things, well, they'll get the same treatment, an honest review as I see them. So let's get on with it. Now, this came with this little card, which of course will never focus, because that's just a thing that, you know, cameras do for YouTube creators. They never focus when you want them to. But it says on the back here, chainsaw handy tips, and it seems like some of them are quite reasonable. Monitor chain tension during use. A sharp chain cuts best. Oh, well, I'm glad they told me that. Who'd have figured? Like, who are they aiming this stuff at? Like hairdressers, people that work in nail salons? Like, geez. Always ensure chain and bar oil is topped up before use. Another genius thing. Chainsaw must be periodically cleaned during use. Okay, maybe I should have read that bit. Any rate, and cordless chainsaws perform the best when the saw is not forced into the timber. Well, yeah, I think that's it's another one, but I can understand why they say that. You know, it seems to be this thing where people buy small products and then expect them to do the job of something 10 times larger and 5 times more expensive, probably because they're cheap bastards and they're, you know, trying to make the thing do something it was never designed for and then complain when it won't. I've seen a lot of that with other products that I own, and you know, they perform perfectly, but then these people, you know, will get something like this, a 12-inch chainsaw, and try and cut 34-inch logs, which I do have and have saws for that reason, but then they'll whinge because, oh, it took 3 seconds longer than what my, you know, 92cc 24-inch bar one did. Pretty common, but you know, that's the way it goes. So what about this thing? Let's have a look at some of the details. Okay, one of the first features of this thing that stands out to me is this, which is your chain tensioner and the lock. Now normally you'll see 2 bolts here, 2 nuts. Look, I've got plenty of saws with them, and honestly I really don't find there's any great advantage to this system, because I'm more used to the ones with the plain bolts and the regular adjustment. I actually find this one a little bit more finicky. Again, probably just what you're used to. If you're used to working in a nail salon, or you know, a hairdresser, and you never had a saw before, you'll probably find this, you know, perfectly acceptable. I wouldn't say it's bad. I'd just say that, you know, I don't see a big advantage in it. To me, the two nuts and the regular screw adjuster, they work just fine. I do have other saws with a similar system to that, and I find it a bit of a pain in the butt as well. So you know, that's just one thing. Some people would find it an advantage because it's toolless, and I'm aware some people, you know, toolkit consists of a hammer and 3 screwdrivers, or maybe 2, and maybe a pair of pliers if they got the deluxe supermarket kit or from IKEA or something, and that's it. But yeah, it works fine. Just depends on what you're used to, I guess. Now, as you can see, I've got a, or you may not be able, yes you can, there's a 5 amp hour battery on it. Now that's perfectly adequate for this machine. It gives you a really good cutting time, and it keeps the saw fairly well balanced. I'm not a big fan of these huge batteries. I've got some in another brand which are 9 amp hour, and they're basically a pain in the arse. I'd rather have 2 smaller ones than one great big one. For the one thing, when you've got 2 smaller ones, when one goes flat, you can put it on charge, you can be using the other one and keep going, and then, you know, by the time you're ready for the other one, this one's gone flat, the other one's nearly there. With the bigger batteries, they take longer, and particularly if you've only got one, because they're, you know, they're disproportionate in price anyway. To me, they're not an advantage. This I've got a lot of 5 amp hours in Ryobis, and they work really well. Over here we've got the oil filler. That's where you put that for your bar oil, which, as they pointed out, is important. Now, at the risk of, you know, getting emails and letters and whatever, I don't really worry about bar oil too much. I either use just regular engine oil, old stuff if I've got it, or I use veg oil, which isn't bad because, you know, in certain countries that's what you got to use anyway. If you're out in the bush, they don't want the place being contaminated by, oh geez, milliliters almost of regular oil. So that's that part of it. Now again, getting back to a pet gripe of mine with reviews, this thing is not designed for cutting logs like this, although in this case, with them being hollow, it'd be perfectly adequate to do it if you have a little bit of patience. One thing I like about this is the thing is fairly light. I have a lot of shrubs and things around here, and I use it for doing that and my trees. I've only got small trees left now, and I don't have to, you know, use the 24-inch bar 92cc job like I'd use on something like this. It's you know, that's the reason I bought this, for the small jobs, and it doesn't really adequately. It's not designed for cutting down, you know, big timber, and you probably wouldn't want to be doing firewood with it all day. But you know, if you keep it within, like anything else, its design parameters, it works well. To be honest, I love the thing. I've got, I don't know, maybe 8 saws now, and this works great. It was cheap. It's great for here at home, you know, because of what I have and what I have to do. But on the property where I'm cutting down, you know, 38-inch trees, you know, I've got saws for that. So again, it's a matter of keeping the tool correct for the job at hand. You know, a 92cc round here is hopeless. It's just not right. But you know, again, horses for courses. Now, of course, I've watched enough of these reviews and things to know how they work, so now I will have to demonstrate how the thing cuts wood to show that it actually will, in case there was any question, and to give, you know, the safety sissies and the you know, desktop experts something to have a whinge about how I'm doing it wrong and this isn't right and that's not right. One thing I really love with any Australian chainsaw review is people bitch and complain about the saws not sharp. Well, it's pretty evident that our hardwood here is actually hardwood. You know, there's a lot of stuff in Europe and different places that, you know, is effectively butter compared to what we've got. So straight up, the chain on this thing is not perfectly sharp. I have been using it, but it still works really well. So now I'll show you that this thing can actually cut wood, because, you know, it's just a done thing and somebody's gonna, you know, complain. So here we go. Look at that. See, I told you to do it, even if you don't hold it well. Now, notice the placement of my foot for maximum danger and safety sissy comments. Look at that. See, I told you, I'm not kidding you folks, it will actually cut wood. Normally, actually, I would hold it a bit better than that, but, you know, this is just a demonstration, not what I'm actually set up for. So it cuts quite well, especially on green stuff. There's something about these little chains, and even when they're not that sharp, they still work really well for whatever reason. You know, less friction or less kerf in the cut, whatever, but they do well. And once again, you can see that their tip on keeping the thing clean probably wasn't bad, and something I should pay more attention to. Now, as for a cutting demonstration, perhaps it's better to show something real life. This is a tree I trimmed a few weeks ago, and using that saw was basically a joy. It went straight through it all. There was no problem. The thing's nice and light, and this is exactly why I have it. It's not for cutting, you know, 30+ inch logs. It's for doing stuff like this and small firewood if you have it, and it does a really brilliant job. Like I say, it's light, so you can, you know, do all the things you shouldn't do, like hold it one-handed and, you know, all of that, and it just works. Trying to do that with a big saw is just as wrong as trying to use this saw on really big stuff. So that's you know, more what I use it for, and I'm 150% happy with it. It does a really good job, and it lasts a good time on a 5 amp hour battery too. I've got some 2 amp hours I've used it on, works fine on them, and if you're only doing a little bit of trimming work, you know, it's great. Now that's the tree I trimmed, that wood that I just showed you came off, and you know, it went through it really well. It saws light enough that I can stand on the ground and do it. Don't have to go climbing up on ladders, so even if I'm doing it one-handed, which isn't safe, then I'm not on a ladder which is safe. So there you go. Whatever you like to do, and it compensates pretty well just in the size and weight like that. So let's see how this not very sharp little saw will cut some little timber like I did. As you can see, like a knife, a hot knife through butter. This is still a bit soft, I'll admit, but you know, there's just no hesitation. And like I said, the blade on this is far from new, and it's far from perfectly sharp. Just doesn't worry it, gives a nice cut. And the thing is nice and easy to hold. It's not heavy. Even my wife has used that and doesn't mind using it. So I think it's quite good. Okay viewers, now for today's safety tip as our community service for keeping the brain dead and the stupid alive. This is not recommended for trimming your toenails, even if they are ingrown, or grooming your pet. There are better tools for the job, and using that for your toenails may void the warranty. It may void your ability to ever walk again, but for some that probably wouldn't be a bad thing, and it'll keep the rest of us safe. But just be aware of that, folks, and use your tools within their designed capacity. Okay, it wouldn't be a real review unless I tried to do something that the thing's not designed for. So let's give it a go with this decent sized bit of dry timber I've got. You can see it's you know, probably a good 12 inches across there just by the length of the bar. So let's see if we can get through this. Biggest challenge I think will be holding it. Here we go. And there we go. Now, didn't that give something for all the purists and whingers to have a go at and bump up the comment section? The chain, no, it might be a little bit loose. It seemed to be chattering, but that is very dry, very hard wood, as you can see. But it got through it. Now, I wouldn't want to do it with that all day long. But again, if you were taking this thing camping or even four-wheel driving, and you had to do something like that to clear an obstacle or get firewood, well, you know, it's up to the task. It's a very good little saw, I think. One other thing that I've discovered with this, and I might get to in some of the solar videos I have planned, is that you can actually run the AC charger, which is 240 volt here, although I think it runs from about 90 or 100 up to something higher. I've actually used those off DC, off solar panels. They take about 80 volts from memory to kick in, and funny enough they are polarized, meaning you do have to put the positive and negative one way, even though this is well, the charger is an AC type appliance, but it will charge and it will work off DC. So if you were off grid or camping or something like that, and you had something even with a boost controller, you could actually charge these out, you know, in the middle of nowhere type of thing, which is really handy because when they go flat they don't work. So if you can charge them up, and yeah, anyway, very good. So there's just a little thing that I found as well with these. You know, viewers, looking at that slice I just took, that's a really nice piece of wood, and the cut is really smooth. I think I might hit that with a belt sander and clean it up and put a bit of stain on it and give that to the missus as maybe a pot holder or something. I think that'll come up really well. I've seen that on Vids on the tube, and I think I'd like to give that a crack. So it wasn't what I meant, but just seeing it and seeing how well that cut, you know, there won't be a lot of finishing in it. It looks like there is a bit on the end the way the light's hitting it, but the marks in it are very shallow, and I don't think it'll take much cleaning up. So there you go, something else this thing could be good for your carpentry and woodworking endeavours. Now, just as a recommendation, folks, if not an actual safety tip, I have some large trees and I wouldn't recommend this saw for cutting them down. As you can see, this one is a little bit on the large side, and this saw is not meant for something like this, although I have used it to trim branches and things, but it's going to take a lot more saw than this one to chop this little tree down, which I am told by a qualified arborist who specialises in this stuff is over 450 years old, and this one's just sitting in my front yard, as you can see. So I wouldn't recommend the saw for the main part of this, but for taking off little branches and things that are growing up a little bit too much, like that little fella there, yep, absolutely perfect. And if you've ever watched The Proper Tree guys, they always use the little saws for doing that. I'd have no problem doing it with it. Well, I have cut it with this saw, so not a problem. But you know, if that's the sort of size tree that you actually want to cut down, well, you might need to go to something just a little bigger. There you go, another gratuitous close-up of my little saw sitting on one limb of my little tree. I wouldn't try cutting that bit down with that saw either, but you know, if you were patient and keen, you'd probably get away with it. And you Americans thought everything you had was bigger and better in the US. How many of you got a tree like this mother in your front yard? Yep, that's how us Aussies roll. We do big too. Well, there you go, viewers. This one's just a short one. I don't know what else I can tell you about this thing. I hope the video wasn't too boring, not having any great flames and things in it, but that's my review of it. Now, guys, if you do want one of these, they make a fantastic present for the wife or the girlfriend or your mother or whoever. I mean, like, you know, the best way of buying, you know, new toys I found is, number one, to make it seem their idea. Oh yes, you know, but didn't you say, honey, that you know, I should have got this? Or B, buy it for them. It works every time. Well, when you've been married as long as I have, which is coming up to 30 years now, it does start to get a bit old. But then the other side is they get used to it, so they just accept it anyway, so it's not a problem. Funny enough, my wife does buy some tools now. She just bought a Ryobi blower the other day, which I might do a review on that on next. Anyway, let me know how bad you thought this was, if I should stick to you know, making fires, or these things are at all amusing, entertaining, or even, God forbid, helpful. And seeing you've already liked and subscribed, haven't you? I asked you straight off. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and we'll see you on the next one.